when you're sidestepping an opponent in neutral, understand their move selection. That's why I like Brian specifically. Because you know, at range 2 or 3, he's going to put out a mid-slow counter hit. Not even that slow, it's like medium speed, right? And if you understand that's going to happen, you can choose, instead of attacking when you would get counter hit, you sidestep right. That is, I think Brian is a great way to train initial like sidestep in neutral awareness. Shut the fuck up, I gotta practice. I mean, I gotta win. Let it rip. For movement, when did you realize it's finally clicked on how and when to sidestep and move in general? I want to make a guide on that, to be honest. When I played Tag 2, up through, like, back then Vanquisher Overlord-ish, but back then I thought that was pretty good. Like, that was pretty hard to get. I like Season 1, Tekken 7. Anyways, that's not important. My rank isn't important. My point is, I played up to a decent medium level without ever sidestepping. I played the game almost fully 2D. The only time I would sidestep is, like, if I wanted to get away from the wall. But honestly, in Tag 2, backdash was so good you can kind of get away with that. In this game, you can't really backdash out of a lot of things unless you have a cheater character. So sidestep is a little more important defensively, but it's not, it's still, I wouldn't say it's essential. I know a lot of players, especially in PS4, or like in my local scene, that like, they don't even backdash, and they can play keep out and stuff and win. So, the first thing I think is understanding that sidestep is an advanced application of basic punishment. Does that make sense? Because sidestepping functions within certain frame windows differently. So understanding when you can sidestep is similar to understanding when you can punish something, but with a bit more ambiguity. You can sidestep different distances, you can cancel it with a block at different times. So from a generic rule standpoint, sidestepping is a lot more flexible, less rigid than standard punishment. But the rules still generally apply. You know, general rules is that like from -7 to -9, you probably don't want to sidestep because a fast move will clip you no matter how linear it is.
I'm trying to keep my stress levels down.
Very general. Around -3 to -6, you have to be pretty tight with your sidestep. Nuance is a good word, yeah. Around -3 to -6, you want to be a bit more tight. And then from frame advantage to frame, like, you know, from like +2 to -2, you can kind of do whatever you want. But of course, it could go either way. Like, you could be +2 and then sidestep or sidewalk, and then your opponent just does a move, and because you're sidewalking and they have already started their homing move or whatever, you just get hit. Because remember that the sidestep evasion is checked upon activation of the attack, or like the initiation of the attack. So if you're sidewalking and somebody initiates an attack, I can demonstrate that. But if you're sidewalking and somebody initiates an attack, then you still get hit because there's you don't have the evasive factor. So I'm gonna set Noctis to just sidewalk, right? So like he was sidewalking, and I just do my attack and it hits him. Because the moment you hit an attack, you align with your opponent. So like this move is hella linear. Right? Like you can whiff like mad. But if he's already sidewalking, I can just hit him. Does that kind of make sense? I'm just going to repeat that one more time. So, because sidesteps are checked at, like, linearity and tracking are kind of locked in on the activation of the move. So if somebody's sidewalking, you're not inherently evasive. In fact, you're not invading at all. But sidewalking is used when you need more evasion on demand and an attack has already started, right? Or if somebody's doing like multiple hits of a string. So like if somebody has a multi-hit string that doesn't track or something, I'd have to get Noctis to step this way to the left. Right? So it's kind of hard because he's also kind of there's no like reference point. Remember how we talked about sidestepping being timing reliant? If I swing a bit later, I'll just track him. Right? Even though sidestep left is how you beat 2-2-2-2-2. Sidewalk left, specifically. But if I just let him walk, then I can hit him. So it has to, the walk and step have to be within this window of timing where the opponent's attack has been committed to its like angle, its angle and alignment. There's like a frame of time where you press your button and that timing is, that angle, that alignment is committed. So like that's why you'll see people lab sidesteps with like a jab as a reference point, right? Because the jab sets that frame reference point. It's like, it's very linear, or it's very ambiguous until this jab hits you on block, and then we know we're +1. And that kind of fixes the timing. Joey Fury calls this fixed timing, or set timing. Whereas in neutral, in opening, this is more like open timing, right? That's Joey Fury's terminology for that. So why is this important? Open timing is where things are the hardest to figure out, right? So like, you can sidewalk on open timing and Noctis can hit you with his linear moves. I could have used forward 2 as an example. I should have used forward 2 as an example. But open timing is the hardest, I think, to cultivate a sidestep in. Because you have to understand when your opponent wants to attack, read it properly, and execute it properly. When you ask, when did you realize it fully clicked on how and when to sidestep and move in general? I think that's the last one to develop because it's so hard. The first sidestep you can develop, I think, is defensive option selects. So, great example is Noctis does 2-2, you block it, and then he does 2-2 again. You can sidewalk left after you block those two because it sets the timing in stone, like it's very fixed. But that, even then, that's like a bad example because Noctis has tracking options, right? So even a better example is like Paul's down forward 1 back sway. You can sidestep right duck every option unless he delays the timing on like back sway 2. But that's a kind of unambiguous sidestep that will almost always work. Or Cooney's back turn. You can sidestep left duck every option except the second hit of her back turn 1+2 will clip you. So it's like, labbing those will help you understand how sidestepping's vulnerability works. It's like Cooney 1-1-2, you can sidestep right. That's like a pretty good one to practice too. Cooney 1-1-2, sidestep the 2 after you block the first 2. Then, in neutral, if somebody, like, I like practicing sidestep against like a Brian, where instead, like, Brian's trying to counter hit you with 3+4, right? So you know, if you attack and get counter hit, you've just kind of understood their timing. It's just in answer to your timing. So practicing sidestepping against Brian is nice because instead of attacking, you can tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to attack here. I'm going to sidestep right. Or sidewalk right. I'm going all and that gives you a big chance to evade something because of that, right? Anyways, I'm going to play my match. Remind me to talk about this after. So against Geese, I was trying to do sidestep left on his down forward 1-1s. And you saw that some of them clipped me, or some of his homing moves clipped me, right? Because I was operating on a read in the open. We like closed the gap. There wasn't really a block frame to kind of set the reference point. I sidewalk left, and he just attacked and clipped me. Same thing with his jabs, or his down forward 1 could even hit me. But that's where, like, I would call that like more advanced sidestepping, in that if you don't know what you're doing, it's hard to understand why you got hit, or why they're hitting you, or why something worked. Versus if you do it in a set timing where it's less ambiguous, less nuanced, it's easier to understand why something worked than why it didn't work. Anyway. What I don't understand is why my opponent can sometimes do a mini sidestep into duck to evade my mid. So those I would call like advanced application of sidestep, like where it's like bullshit, right? After a month of a slump, I finally back to Wario Kazuya, my highest rank. Dude, keep it up. Thank you so much for your answers. So good to get good at advanced sidestepping without any fixed reference. It'll take time and experience to get used to. Yeah, basically, placeholder sucks. Yes, you summarized it perfectly. So, step 1, sidestep with option selects, so you understand very clearly when sidestep works. Cooney's back turn, 1-1-2, these quick strings, right? Bob has like strings that you can sidestep right the second hit. Understand that. Then, when you're sidestepping an opponent in neutral, understand their move selection. That's why I like Brian specifically. Because you know, at range 2 or 3, he's going to put out a mid-slow counter hit. Not even that slow, it's like medium speed, right? And if you understand that's going to happen, you can choose, instead of attacking when you would get counter hit, you sidestep right. That is, I think Brian is a great way to train initial like sidestep and neutral awareness. Shut the fuck up, I gotta practice. I mean, I gotta win. I uninstalled Tekken. Is the game bad or I'm bad? I think that's a false binary question. It doesn't matter. If you're not enjoying the game, you don't play it. All that matters. So I'm not even going to answer that question. First of all, I don't like questions. Second of all, it's a false dichotomy. Like that shit. I'm glad you took a step to play something or stop playing something that wasn't healthy for you, though, Lychee Jelly. Unironically. I think it's a waste of time to pour energy and time into things that aren't bringing you joy. Like playing against Jack. And he's gonna fucking throw me.